The guest you want in sports today is not LeBron James. It is not anyone playing in the NBA Finals. It is not Dan Hurley. It is Mike Johnson. He is the guest that this show most desperately wanted to get on today because we are getting a second helping of Greg Cote, and these two have made magic all week. Mike is with TSN in Canada, the NHL Network as well. He is flying down here to kick Greg Cote's ass. He is the Charles Barkley of Canada, according to Adnan Virk. Yeah,
I appreciate that from Adnan.
Is that as strange to you as it was to us?
Well, I wish I was getting paid like Charles Barkley. That would be nice.
Right.
Yes, Adnan, he's a neighborhood guy.
Right.
We know each other for a long time from Toronto. So I think he meant it like a compliment without the Hall of Fame career, of course.
All right. Mike, we want to, because we're Team Greg Cote here, just so you know, okay? We are Team Cote, and we appreciate you doing this. You are a brave man. Is there any chance that Greg Cote might be a little bit right about what he wrote about Connor McDavid?
No. Zero. Zero chance. Wow. Zero. Less than zero. You can say that for him to be considered one of the greatest player of all time, or to fulfill all the potential he has, winning a Stanley Cup would be part of that conversation. But to suggest for a second that Connor McDavid is overrated in any capacity is doing a disservice to how great he is and the attention that he deservedly is getting. So no, the overrated bit, it is indefensible. I was preparing for this. I was watching Scott Mitchell highlights all day long just to make sure I knew exactly what I was getting myself into.
Sure.
But I don't think, this is on the Marino Mitchell scale of ridiculousness in real time.
Oh, Mike's done his homework. He threw in a Marino Mitchell reference.
It was well done. That's why I'm laughing so hard. Wow. It was a good job by Mike.
Well, Mike, it's not just that. He's now officially calling him an underachiever.
Yeah, he's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, Roy, are you on Team Cote or Team Mike? What's the matter with you?
I'm on Team myself at this situation.
He's Team Mike. Here's the thing, Mike. I am the biggest champion Connor McDavid has. Okay, I'm a bigger champion of his.
You're Canadian.
I'm a bigger champion. Yeah, Cote. That's a Cote. That's a popular name in French-speaking Canada. I'm his biggest champion for this reason. I am holding him to the highest possible standard. Okay, I recognize all the stats are great. Future Hall of Famer, fastest player, wonderful talent. I get all that. But if you're going to call somebody generational, McJesus, the chosen one, the next Gretzky, and he plays 9 years without a Stanley Cup, he eliminates himself from the conversation for greatest ever or for being beyond just a great player in his time. He has to win at least a Stanley Cup and maybe more than one. And I want to challenge you, Mike, to answer this question. Okay, if and the Panthers, as you know, are a slight favorite in this series. If McDavid goes another year without winning a Stanley Cup, you wouldn't begin to wonder if that's missing from his resume?
Well, no, of course it's missing from his resume. The question you need to ask yourself is,
what is the weight of that?
But is it fair to hold a hockey player? Because hockey's not basketball. LeBron can take, Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Mo Williams and get to the final. You can't do that in hockey. Not if you're Austin Matthews, not if you're Connor McDavid. You can't do that if you're the best player.
Okay,
that's not how you win.
Hockey's got 5 skaters, just like basketball has 5 players.
Math.
Wow. And Wayne Gretzky
how much does the best basketball player play?
Wayne Gretzky in the same city
counterpoint
won 4 championships in I think a 5-year span in Edmonton. So if you're that
when
good,
there were 21 teams in the league,
if
no
you're
salary
that good,
cap.
you lift a franchise in a way that Connor McDavid hasn't yet.
Dad, I feel like you're not really listening to his points.
Yeah, you got to let him talk.
What do you say to his point that LeBron plays 48 minutes, 42 of the 48 minutes, while a hockey plaer isn't going to be on the ice that much?
They have shifts.
No, you're right. I mean, he probably plays, 7-8 minutes a game?
So it's hard to hold.
7 or 8 minutes a game.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about.
7, 8.
What?
Oh, Greg.
Okay. How many minutes does Connor
I think at some
McDavid
point,
play?
I don't have to say anything.
About 20.
No, but a hockey player, he'll play 22 minutes a night.
Okay.
And if you think, okay, what does he have to do?
7
Who are
to 8
the greatest players sort of in the last 40 years? Gretzky and Lemieux, right?
Right.
So where's Connor McDavid rank all time in points per game in the playoffs? Connor McDavid's job is to produce offense. He's third all time in the history of the NHL behind Gretz, behind Lemieux in points per game in the playoffs. So you can wax poetic about the gaudy stats in the regular season. They're gaudy in the postseason as well. It's his team. The reason why he's on Edmonton is because they were terrible.
I did. Yeah,
Greg, we were talking to you in your ear.
Yeah. Wait, hold on, Mike. Is Greg saying that Connor McDavid plays 7 to 8 minutes worse than the original take?
Well, I mean, I think it's sort of I kind of win the conversation by default.
He must have
there,
meant
no?
7 or 8 minutes per period.
I
That's all
meant,
Greg was saying.
Yeah, I meant per period.
Yeah, per period.
Yeah, because I always talk about
Extrapolate,
basketball times by quarter.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly
of course you do.
Right. Yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah.
Play 11 minutes a night.
Mike, answer me this question. And I
Mike's winning right now, by the way, just so you know. Okay, no
not
pressure.
so fast.
No pressure.
It's a yes.
Let the man talk.
Plenty of game left.
It's a yes or no question for Mike Johnson. Okay, if Connor McDavid goes his entire career without winning a Stanley Cup, will he still be in the rightful conversation as one of the greatest ever?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
For what he's done, the nature of hockey being what he is. Now, Connor McDavid, he's won a world championship under 18. He's won a world junior championship.
Okay.
He's won a world championship. He has not won Olympics or World Cup because he hasn't got to play in those. And the Stanley Cup, the bigger the NHL gets, the more you're going to see great, all-time great players not win Stanley Cups. Is Henrik Lundqvist not an all-time great goalie because he didn't win a Stanley Cup? Well, I think he probably is. This is the nature of hockey. Yes, the guys who did it in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, they had an advantage. It was easier back then. No salary cap, smaller league. The way it's spread out now, it's going to be harder. Now, I expect him, and I think he expects it of himself. Greg, you're not wrong. He would expect it of himself to be able to do this. But I'm saying even if he goes over and he gets his team to a Stanley Cup final, 2 conference finals, does nothing else more than what he's done already, he is still on the Mount Rushmore, expanded to 5 with Bobby Orr and Gordie Howe, of all-time greats in the history of the NHL. Like, that's where he's going to end up, whether he wins 1 or 0 or 3.
Mike, I would say you're wrong because for me, the way I do it is if I'm sitting with my grandchildren years from now and they ask me about the greatest hockey players of all time, and Connor McDavid has not won a Stanley Cup, I will rattle off a ton of names before I get to Connor McDavid. If he wins 1 or 2, I agree with you. But unless he wins those, I will start rattling off names like Bobby Orr, like Wayne Gretzky, like Mike Bossy, like Ovechkin, like Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby, guys who have actually won the Stanley Cup trophy.
And that's fair if that's how you want to remember them. But if you dissected the game, if you paid very close attention, to suggest for a second that Mike Bossy was better than Connor McDavid would be just wrong. Wrong on every level. Now, he won more.
Well, he's got
and
4
we can
cups.
say that, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
And he won 4 cups in a row.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
he's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time.
Yeah.
Connor McDavid's better than him. He is now, and he will be when he retires.
He's not.
Mike, I'm going to ask you a question honestly, and I mean this in all due respect. Does there come a time when hockey fans in Canada look at Connor McDavid's career, let's say 4 or 5 years from now, he's now an aging player, he still hasn't won a Stanley Cup. Is there any point at which Canada says, you know what, for all his greatness, he didn't do what he would have wanted to do. He underachieved. His career did underachieve. What does it have to get to for Canada to believe that?
For Canada, probably, Greg, honestly, if he doesn't have international success, because we can appreciate that how hard it is to win the Stanley Cup no matter how great you are. We've already gone down that road. But when he plays for Canada, he is on the best team. He is supposed to win. He is supposed to be the best player in those tournaments where he does win. And so if he plays in the Olympics in 2 years, this 4 Nations thing next year, that's a bit different. But if he goes without winning an Olympics gold medal, then I think Canadians say, you know what? He probably didn't win at the highest level when he should have. Not necessarily referring to the Stanley Cup final, which might be part of it, but also international play.
Is it fair to say that the Stanley Cup championship is of less and less importance in Canada because the country hasn't won a Stanley Cup in 30 years?
Oh,
Let my boy cook. Let my boy cook.
He's burning the food.
Mm-hmm.
No. So, no, I would think it probably becomes more important because it's been so long. We have an entire generation of people, like kids my age, have virtually no recollection of a Canadian team, any Canadian team, let alone your favorite team winning. So I think it becomes more important. But we're also comforted in the fact that every year the Stanley Cup winning team has more Canadians on it than any other nationality. So we feel pretty good about that as well.
Mike, how'd you feel when you said this?
Greg.
You nailed it. You had to feel good about yourself there, right?
Greg.
I mean, I listened to it back. I'm like, was I rude? I'm like, probably not. But
I've been called
Greg,
worse. I've been
come
called
on,
worse.
Greg.
Then your name?
It was so condescending. It was so well done by
Greg.
you. And by the way, just for the record, Greg doesn't care. He loves that you're talking about it. He loves that Canada's talking about it. Greg wrote a column. He's a great columnist, and he set out what he was trying to achieve, which is make Canada angry. I mean,
I gave him props in doing it. I'm like, listen, he won. We're talking about it. He got what he wanted. We're in Canada in the off week of the Stanley Cup final. I'm talking about Greg Cote, not Cote, which he would be in Canada. So,
There
yeah,
you go.
congrats to him. And it wasn't even a full column. It was like a 2-paragraph
Exactly.
byline, but it did exactly what he wanted.
Right.
And you think, like, he's joking about me getting fired up. I'm not. I don't think, they asked me a question. I reacted to a very crazy headline in a column.
Greg.
But I think, by Greg.
Greg.
And Greg is getting the reaction he wanted.
Yeah.
See, to me, this is like a boxing match. Mike's come on here. My dad's here. They're
Yeah.
giving their points. They're exchanging jabs.
Yes.
Nothing too crazy, really. Until my dad said that Connor plays 7 or 8 minutes. That my dad.
That's crazy.
That was my dad.
That's
That
insane.
That
Come
was
on,
my.
man.
That was the boxer
Period.
pooping himself in the middle of the ring.
and the cup
No.
meaning less. I mean,
No, I meant per period.
You're ridiculous.
Oh,
Whether you
come
believe
on.
me or not, I don't care.
Mike, of the takes that Greg has had, Connor McDavid playing 7 or 8 minutes a night, Connor McDavid being McOverrated, or Canada not caring about the Stanley Cup, which is the most ridiculous to you?
I mean, the most ridiculous would be McDavid being overrated. Still.
Wow.
The
Wow.
most,
Wow.
The most
Underachiever.
illuminating by Greg
Yeah,
would be that he
underachiever,
thinks that
yeah.
players play 7 minutes a night. That would be
Greg.
the most illuminating comment that I've learned today from
Yeah.
Mr. Cote,
That was
who
a
I will see
simple
tomorrow
misspeak.
night at the game,
Yes.
presuming he's going to be there.
Yeah,
Yes.
I will be there.
yes, I sense a friendship coming out of this, blossoming out
Greg.
of
Handshake coming.
There's nothing we can do to convince you that Greg might be right. Like, what if the Oilers win? They win in 5 games, but he doesn't have a single point. So he had nothing to do with them winning the Stanley Cup. Perhaps will you come around to Greg's point?
Will he still be leading the playoffs in scoring?
Oh,
I mean,
Jesus.
no,
Does it
I
matter?
won't come around to his
Jesus.
point one bit.
Okay, here-
There is nothing that he could say that would support what he did, other than the fact that Connor McDavid himself would expect to be able to win a Stanley Cup at some point in his career.
Right.
Even though that's an unrealistic expectation of any individual player, he would expect that of himself.
Right.
I will concede that and that alone to Greg.
Is Connor McDavid
Sounds like a
aware
win.
that some gas bag in Miami called him overrated? Yes or no?
At this point, he might be. I'm embarrassed to say it, but he might be.
He has to be.
Now,
The entire
I don't
country's
know.
talking about this.
That's overstated.
I'm happy
I mean,
to
I
inspire
talked
him
about it
like
for
that.
90 seconds.
All right, let's go to the judges
Listen,
here.
if he goes off,
Yeah.
if he goes off in the playoffs,
Right.
Greg, will you take some heat for this lightning rod of a topic that you got Connor McDavid all fired up with? You
I'll
probably should.
I'll put the heat on myself.
All right.
I'll write him a
Miami
couple.
Heat.
But if the Panthers win in 5 and he goes like 1 goal,
He
like
wins.
all of a sudden Greg's
Greg
looking.
wins. Yes.
Look out.
Yeah,
Look out.
He wins.
Well,
yeah.
just so we're clear, I also have the Panthers winning this series. So
Oh,
it's not
there you go. That's my man.
Phony.
Right there. Thank you,
I
Mike.
mean-
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the scorecards here
God.
because Mike made some really great points. Greg didn't make a single good point. I have Greg Cote 10-9.
Thank you.
I think Mike won this. I'm going with Mike.
It's
Sonny?
10-6, dude.
10-9, Greg.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
10-6, Mike.
Roy, what's the matter with you?
Yo, come on, man. What are you talking about?
My friend Roy Bellamy. Thanks for nothing.
7 to 8 minutes per game for Connor McDavid.
Period.
Period.
Per period.
A
Come
can
on,
make-
wake
a-
up.
A man can't misspeak. Good
Thank
Lord.
God for Roy.
I'm
Someone
not-
with some integrity in that studio.
I'm not
Roy,
perfect.
The only
Thank
one I
you.
can count on.
That
Thank
is-
you, Mike.
That is so funny. All right, he is the Charles Barkley of Canada. You can check him out on TSN in Canada, the NHL Network as well. He is flying down here. He's going to fight Greg Cote. Mike, we appreciate you doing this.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
I can't believe we invited Greg to participate in this. How are we ever going to have enough minutes now?
I'll try to be
Stu,
succinct.
Stu, I can already see what's going to happen. Rather than me versus Samson, we're going to gang up on Cody and his
list coming up.
We'll see. Don't be too nervous.
Well, we've started already, so I have exciting news, very exciting news for this show. No one on the show knows this, but I spent the last 10 minutes texting back and forth with Mike Johnson, Greg's nemesis, and he will join us in a half hour. A half hour from now, Greg Cote will be speaking to Mike Johnson. Chris, do we have the clip real quick? We'll get to Adnan and David Samson, their top five in just a second. But I do want this clip here because Mike Johnson is joining us. Are you excited, Greg? Are you nervous?
Bring it on. Bring it on.
We've played this Mike Johnson clip 5 times.
We're going to play it 5
days.
more times, okay? So you don't have it, is what you're saying.
I have it.
Okay. Well, can we go to it? All right, here's the clip.
Is this the most ridiculous hot take ever?
This is Mick ridiculous. Absolutely. Listen, I'm all about clickbait, reader engagement, pandering to the home crowd. I get that. And maybe it's working because here we are talking about it, so it's mission accomplished. But like, if you know anything about hockey, and I'm assuming Greg might, you know that one player, no matter how great he is, cannot get it done and win a Stanley Cup on his own. Not McDavid, not anybody. But McDavid clearly is the greatest player in the game. He is generational. He's one of the best offensive players in the history of the game already. He has proven that beyond a shadow of a doubt. So, Greg, I'm sorry. This is preposterous, outrageous, ridiculous, and just flat out wrong. So I know the Miami crowd might eat it up going up against McDavid. But if you are a hockey writer, some point you're going to look back at this article, this headline, and say, that was not my finest journalistic moment, because this is just ridiculous and wrong.
Adnan, your thoughts?
Mike Johnson is a good friend of mine, colleague at NHL Network. I was texting with him yesterday.
Right.
And listen, I love Johnny. He's as good an analyst as you have in the sport. If hockey was bigger in America, he'd be Charles Barkley. He's a brilliant guy. He's so smart. Greg, you're going to heap of trouble. Johnny's going to eviscerate you. He is so smart. And he's funny. He knows he gets the show. He's going to bury all you guys.
David, it was the first condescending Greg, right? That's where you lost it.
I just thought he went on too long. He lost me. It was, if you're going to get someone, you got to be in, you got to be out,
Yes.
you got to be fast. And the fact that we're playing the clip like 29 times on the show, I mean, that's like a whole segment. If we want to be lazy, the true lazy river, just keep playing that clip over and over.
We're going to have Mike Johnson on again in about a half hour.
Greg.
Thank you. Cinephile, check out that podcast with Adnan. Nothing personal, of course, with David Samson. It's good to see you guys together again. This is very exciting. Greg Cote has his own top 3 movie scenes of all time.
I'm sorry. What's that? Stu, hang on a second. Greg Cote, who wouldn't know a great movie from Connor McDavid being a great hockey player. You're telling me he has a list as well to combat me and David Samson, who anchored Meadowlark's Oscar coverage. You're telling me Greg Cote has a list?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And he feels very good about his list. He does.
Back in my day.
It's the best. We'll
I got to
get
believe that Greg did this list really haphazardly, and I spent a lot of time coming up with my top 5 list. I'd like to get right to it.
All right, let's get to it. Go ahead, David.
Number 5, Big Fish, the funeral scene. No music?
Exactly. Wonk, wonk. That's the reaction. If your list is good, you get a reaction. Otherwise, there's no sound.
I put the sounder. You just couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say that the funeral scene is the big reveal in Big Fish when you see which characters have been real and which haven't. You should check it out. Number 4.
No, hang on. The big reveal, the Big Fish is the big letdown. Okay, Samson, this is terrible. Number 5 on your list. Scott Van Pelt also loves this movie. I admit it has some moments, but number 5 in the greatest history of movies? You're crazy.
I feel like you're overcompensating for not having been here in a couple weeks. I think you just got to take it down one notch. Okay.
There may be something to that. Go ahead.
I think it's also odd to offer support for a movie saying Scott Van Pelt enjoyed it.
It's a throwaway line, Stu. By the way, Van Pelt likes it, but your list still stinks.
I'm aware of what you were doing there.
Number 4, Dead Poets Society. After Robin Williams' character gets fired, it's the "Oh Captain, My Captain" standing on the desk scene.
Yeah,
it is
it's a good
iconic.
It's a great
one of the
one.
top scenes of all time.
Can't quibble with that. Good call.
Number 3, the bulletin board reveal at the end of The Usual Suspects.
Excellent.
I'm talking orca fat.
I will never forget Orca. I will never forget the bottom of the teacup. That is a moment when you see it for the first time that you can't forget.
How about the barbershop quartet in Skokie, Illinois? Pretty good too.
So good. It's where the bulletin board was actually made in Skokie, Illinois, I think. Number 2, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Oh.
One of my favorite all-time movies, top
sounder.
5.
Exactly.
There is a scene in the movie when they meet in the middle as Brad Pitt is getting younger and as Cate Blanchett is getting older, and they are the same age for a scene, and they are in love. And that is the number 1 example of a scene of love in any movie.
Well, I can tell you this. I was getting older watching that movie like Cate Blanchett. I was aging rapidly having to sit through that movie. David, that's not a great movie. It's a cute idea. It's got attractive lead characters. It's not a great film. And it's not even that great a scene. You're telling me that's the epitome of love? That's better than Casablanca? Here's looking at you, kid? Come on.
Yeah, so we could do another top 5 love scenes. This scene would be in it with these 2 characters. Number 1 will be number 1, Greg, for you. Number 1 for you, Adnan. There is no discussion of the best movie scene of all time.
I like the preamble.
It is the dating scene between John Travolta and Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction.
What?
From the milkshakes.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
All the way to the Eric Stoltz and Rosanna Arquette when John Travolta has to put the needle in her chest. That scene overall, number 1, period.
It's a good scene. It's not even the best scene in the movie. Sam Jackson, the climax, Ezekiel 25:17, the path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the inequities of the selfish, the tyranny of evil men. That's a great scene.
Please tell me you wrote that down.
No, I didn't. Off the top of my head, that's how great a scene that is. That's
you
ridiculous.
You a Bible reader now?
I can't believe that's your number 1. Oh, my God.
That was good, Adnan. That was impressive. Cinephile, check him out. Anyway, your top 5. Go ahead.
Stu, you're going to love this list. Number 5. Whoa, Kelly Clarkson. Steve Carell getting waxed. 40-year-old virgin.
Yes.
So good.
So good.
Anybody with
Spoken
a hairy
as a
chest
hairy
knows
man.
Anybody with a hairy chest knows that scene will give you a
Nipple
horrible. Number 4.
I've been waxed. It hurts.
Number 4, I'm shocked Samson didn't take this. This is one of his favorite movies and one of his favorite scenes. The first scene of Inglourious Bastards. Do you have any notes?
So good.
That whole scene's incredible. Speaking of reveals, of course, the reveal in the basement is brilliant. Number 3, you think I'm funny? I'm like a clown, like the way I talk. You think I'm funny? Goodfellas, you think I'm funny?
He can leave for a month, but Martin never leaves.
Who doesn't love that scene in Goodfellas? Number 2, yes, oh yes, I'll have what she's having. Meg fakes an orgasm when Harry met Sally.
You just like saying orgasm on Dan's show.
Yes,
that's it.
Yes. I'll have what she's having. And number 1, what's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
Yes.
Gwyneth Paltrow's head's in a box. 7.
Wow. Adnan, that was a good list, man. Like Samson didn't object to anything on your list. He agreed with all of them, I think, right, David?
I don't agree with 7 at the lead. I mean, that is a good scene. There's no question. I'm not sure it's top 10. I'm going to guess here, Adnan, that of Greg's top 3, that none of them were a part of our 10 because we both left out a movie that has one of the most famous scenes, and I'm curious if that's where Greg is.
Dad, do you have on your screen right now top movie scenes of all time?
No, I don't. I'm looking up one little fact about one of my movies, but
that's a good fact check, Chris. Let's go ahead and get HR on this. Come on, let's investigate. I think he is absolutely cheating right now.
No, I'm not cheating.
I'm just shocked that we got Adnan and David's list out on time. Like, we got 3 minutes left.
The quickest we've ever done.
So much time, yeah. We'll just
we were ready to crush Greg's list. That's why we made sure to get it in.
Well, I have 2 written down here. I'm not certain if they're going to be on Greg's list.
So is this a top 5 between the 2 of you?
Well, no.
Hey, Stu, let me give you an extra bonus one. I'm sorry to cut you off. Here's a bonus one.
Okay.
The running man, when Schwarzenegger says, Killian, I'll be back. And Killian says, only in a rerun.
That's a good line, but not a scene.
Okay, fine. Good
Greg, no more delaying. Let's go.
Okay, I
Different topic.
I actually have a top 5, but I can make it a top 3 with 2 OLIs if you prefer.
5's fine.
Top 5.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Just start.
I'll be quick because I'm an amateur.
Look at Samson
Go.
bossing everyone around.
Number 5, Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver.
Yes.
You talking to me?
Fantastic. This is a great list already.
Just
Blowing
pandering to
Adnan.
Adnan. Pandering to Adnan.
Great line.
Great list.
Yes, and by the way, that was an ad-lib line I read. Number 4.
You didn't read it then.
In Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta's opening strut to the sound of Staying Alive.
Really good.
Pretty good.
The opening scene.
Iconic, but not a top scene.
Number
But
3.
go ahead.
His list.
In It's a Wonderful Life, the moment when James Stewart's George Bailey is brought to tears when the townspeople all rally to pull him out of financial dilemma.
And there goes Lucy.
Yeah, Clarence gets his wings. Come on. Let's do it.
I was never here.
Lucy.
Number 2, in The Wizard of Oz,
Christ.
the scene where
Jesus.
Dorothy
Jesus.
steps from black and white into vivid color.
I got your red shoes right here. Okay?
We were promised to not do this segment on days that Greg was in the studio.
And you get a better agent. And number 1, in 1980, Sidney Pollack's 1981 Absence of Malice,
Oh, when Greg
the
Cote's in
scene where Greg Cote, an extra, is seen reading a newspaper on a desk.
So good. Greg wins.
Didn't you have a handlebar mustache too in that?
I think I did have a creepy
Do you still get
mustache.
residuals, Greg?
I didn't even get paid. They fed us. It was filmed at like 3 a.m.
Good club sandwich.
I would
good.
say that I'm surprised, folks, that Saving Private Ryan, the opening scene of
Yes.
that movie, was not in any of our lists because that, to many people, is the number 1 scene of all time.
How about Good Will Hunting with Robin Williams, Matt Damon sitting by the pond, and they have that conversation? That's a great scene. Plus, Rocky and Adrian on the beach, Rocky 3. I mean, come on.
I was going to say Rocky and Paul running together on the beach. That's
Yes.
pretty good.
Yes, but it
Well,
doesn't
In
have-
slow motion.
It doesn't happen without the speech from Adrian, though. Okay, we have money, we have cars, we have everything. Go kick his ass. You know,
Right.
it doesn't happen without that. That's my list.
One thing I want you to do: win.
That's right. It's Thursday Thunder, and it's sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Thursday Thunder, cooked up by Juju, brought to you by Tony.
Guys, we have an all green Thursday Thunder.
Wow.
All green. We've got the NBA Finals tonight, Game 1. Mavericks at Celtics. Juju, notable, massive Celtics fan, has cooked up the parlay for Thursday Thunder. We're starting with the first leg. Jason Tatum. Over 9.5 rebounds for Jason Tatum. Interesting.
It is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Over 9.5 rebounds.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Al Horford, over 4.5 rebounds.
Big rebounding night for the Celtics.
A lot of missed shots. apparently.
Tatum has had over 9 rebounds in 6 of his last 7.
So something to keep an eye on. Last leg here, Jaylen Brown over 22.5 points. Thank you.
Needed Thunder.
I was waiting for the Thunder, yeah.
Right.
So that's Jason Tatum over 9.5 rebounds. Al Horford over 4.5 rebounds.
Ow, what?
Jaylen Horford. Jaylen Brown over 22.5 points. That gives you a nice plus 500 for Thursday Thunder. Book it.
Really cranked up the Thunder there. I mean,
Book it. Kind of sounds like a lion's roar a little bit, too.
Pride of the Lion.
Out now.
Hey,
Father's Day.
Well done. Promoted. It's been promoted.
Yeah.
Game 1 of the finals is tonight. Carter Verhaeghe going to join us coming up. The Stanley Cup finals get underway on Saturday. I think the Celtics, man, I don't know what we're doing with this team. Dallas has had a nice run. Luka and Kyrie have been great. This is not Luka at 100%. But the Celtics have been the entire season a historically good team, a great team. And offensively, I think they have too much for Dallas to handle. But here's where I think they win the series. I do. Because Luka is so good. And he's thick. And he's tall. He's like 6'7", 6'8", Luka. And he has amazing ball handling skills. And he can get any shot off. But here's what the Celtics have. And it's why I think it bodes well for them in the series. And I don't think it will be much of a series. I think the Celtics will either sweep or they'll win in 5 games. Little gentleman's sweep. They have so many guys they can run at Luka Doncic, whether it's Tatum, whether it's Brown, whether it's White, whether it's Drew Holiday. There are a lot of guys that they can throw at Luka, Greg, and for that reason, they're great offensively. But defensively, they have 4 guys who can match him in terms of height, not skill, but in terms of length. And I think that's why the Celtics win this series and win it rather easily.
I agree. I think Dallas is one of the most underqualified finals teams in a while.
That's crazy.
No, I do.
Two of the more skilled players in NBA history.
Luka Doncic is a great player. Kyrie Irving, although past his prime, is also still a great player, as he's shown lately. But when you look at the and I try not to be a slave to statistics, but Dallas only outscored its opponents by 2 points this season. That's unimpressive because I think plus minus is pretty significant over the course of a full season.
Over 82 games.
Yeah, and +2 is nothing. Now their offense is middle of the pack offense. Their defense isn't as good as Boston's. The Celtics have been the best team in the NBA all season. They can score 3-point baskets like nobody. And I just think it has the potential to be a rout, like Stugat says. A sweep would not surprise me. A 5-game series, to me, is almost the betting favorite.
I would be surprised if this wasn't at least a somewhat competitive series with the way that Dallas has played, particularly in the second half of the year since the trade deadline. Yeah. They added P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford at the deadline, and those are two guys in their top 6 in minutes. It's their starting center. It's their starting power forward. And the length of P.J. Washington and Derek Jones Jr. was really on display last series for them defensively. Derek Jones Jr., he did learn that defensive stuff from the Heat culture right at the beginning. But when you talk about Boston, Drew Holiday and Derek White, those are two elite defenders. Those are two guys who have played defense at the top of their game in the last couple of years. They've been named first and second team all defense. That said, they're really more there to stop Kyrie Irving because Luka Doncic physically is too big for both of those guys to really slow him down. It will come down to both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on that defensive end. The big X factor that we haven't mentioned is Boston has run through the Eastern Conference, and we've given them a lot of slack for going up against those teams without their number ones, but they have been without their starting center in Kristaps Porzingis, who is a huge X factor in this series, because without him, I think they would have huge issues defending Kyrie and Luka in the pick and roll. We saw how great they were in the pick and roll against Minnesota, who had the best defense in the NBA all year. If they would have been going after Al Horford and Al Horford alone at that big man position for Boston, they could have really taken advantage. Now, with Kristaps Porzingis back, that's a huge difference for that Boston defense, and that's the biggest factor here, in my opinion. Tony, I know you have kind of a strong opinion about this series as well, but when you look at these two teams, kind of what are you seeing?
I think the biggest deal with the Celtics, too, is their lack of front court players, right? I think that when you talk about Porzingis, he's already said he's not at 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at that, who's behind Porzingis?
It's Horford.
It's Horford.
It's a Hall of Famer.
And after that, it's not much.
It's not much, right? When you've got 2 bigs, 3 bigs realistically with Dallas that can not stretch the floor, but stretch the paint in a way where the pick and rolls become more effective when Luke and Kyrie can drive. That to me is the X factor of the game, the front court players on Dallas's side.
Getting Porzingis back was important for Boston, but getting Derek Lively back in that Game 5 and that neck injury not being more of an issue is gigantic. I believe he shot 100% in the Western Conference Finals. He's been spectacular as a rookie, and man, our hot takes are really setting off.
They're trying to stop us from
fire
preaching.
Here at the Elser Hotel? What is happening? I mean,
we get these kind of alerts
daily
where it sounds like it's a big emergency that it's like the boy that cried wolf. Like, if something bad happens here, we're not going to react to it because we're so used to this.
I tried really hard to fight through, but this eventually, the vocals start to come in.
I understand, right?
Yeah, I wonder what was going on.
Greg
he
just
said, please cease operations.
Greg saying,
what kind of operations?
I'm continuing operations. Greg saying that they're the worst team to make it to the NBA Finals. I wouldn't go that far, but they're one of them. I wouldn't go that far. Like the Cavaliers with Mo Williams, the Philadelphia 76ers with Iverson. Eric Snow was the second best player on that team.
Guys,
he averaged 6 points a game.
I love the Heat as much as anyone. Gabe Vincent and Max Strus were starting in the NBA Finals last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they were starting last year. They were a 5 seed a couple years before that and also made the NBA
I would
Finals.
take the Dallas team from this year over the Heat team from last year.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fair.
That's fair.
That's entirely fair.
I didn't say they were the worst team ever in the finals.
What
I said was they are underqualified compared to most finals teams.
But when you're a 5 seed that upset the Clippers first, then Denver, and now Minnesota, it shows you just exactly what it is that this group can do with their length on the defensive end and two incredible offensive players. I think this should be a relatively even series. You guys mentioned the outscoring. It might be one of those things where Dallas could end up winning the series, but being outscored, where Boston blows them out a couple of times, but they win close late because Luka and Kyrie are tremendous in the fourth quarter. And what's the one question we keep asking? Whether or not Jason Tatum can close things out down the stretch.
The
for
alarm
Boston.
is still going.
The question I'm asking is, should we cease operations?
Yeah, let's do that.
Probably.
Carter, you got us?
Yeah, I got you, yeah.
Oh,
Carter.
the interview just started. I just want to start this by saying I love you and thank you.
What are you doing?
I'm a three-year season ticket holder.
Right.
And he's changed my life, and I just want to say thank you.
It's
to
true.
him.
Thank you.
What happened to you?
Take it away. That's just what I wanted to do.
I want to take it away by chanting Carter, 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 Carter.
Bring it home, Carter.
All right. I love it.
Carter, I know you were there a season ago, but can you kind of put us inside your head right now? You're about 48 hours away from playing in the Stanley Cup again for a second consecutive year. What's the feeling right now for you and this team?
Yeah, I think it's a lot different this year. I think last year we were kind of just enjoying the moment. I think no one really expected us to be so good last year and get to the final. And I think this year it's kind of we have a game plan. We're more focused. Everyone, it's kind of more business-like this year, I think, which is great.
You're coming from against a team that has very good transition offense and an excellent power play in the Rangers to a team with an excellent transition offense and a elite power play. What have you learned from the Eastern Conference Final that you can take into the Stanley Cup Final?
Yeah, you're right. They're really similar in that way. They create lots off the rush. They have a ton of speed, and I think discipline obviously is going to be huge, just like it was last series and throughout our whole playoffs. I think discipline has been a big part of what we're doing compared to last year. We were kind of menaces all over the place, getting in scrums, and I think this year we're kind of staying out of that and trying to focus on what we can do. And yeah, it's going to be special teams is going to be huge, staying out of the box, and we have a great PK as well. And we're hoping just keep the penalties to a minimum and play 5-on-5. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Carter, you guys did not touch the Prince of Wales trophy. Is this a superstitious team, or were you told not to do that?
You didn't see the clip?
Maurice?
Maurice was like, "Don't bleep and touch that thing."
I know, but how does that start? Is he a superstitious? Is everybody superstitious in hockey? I don't know the genesis.
Yeah, some guys are superstitious. I mean, to be honest, personally, it doesn't really matter to me, but I think, well, let's do the opposite of what we did last year. Obviously, it didn't work last year, so I think that was kind of the mindset going in.
Carter, what's the plan for this 7 and change flight to Edmonton? Because I might be making it, and I am not looking forward to it. I'm sure yours will be nicer.
The plan is a
than
private
mine.
jet.
I know, but I'm just saying, what are we thinking? Are we thinking on this plane, if Barkov's behind me, are we reclining the chair? We got 7 hours here. If we're going to New York, we're not really reclining the chair, but are we reclining on this one?
Oh, we're always reclining. There's lots of room on the
that's
plane.
Right.
But
once again, private. My bad. Yeah.
Always reclining, but. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a long flight, but I think maybe get some catch up on some sleep. Usually after games, it's pretty tough to sleep, and play some poker with the boys. Maybe have some fun. Take some guys' money.
Who's the fish? Who's the fish in the group that we get all the money from?
I'll go Ekblad.
Yeah.
He doesn't care enough.
He's got that payday too.
Yeah, he can afford it.
Yeah.
The Oilers said that they know about the team's physicality and they say that they are ready for it. So are you expecting a player like a Evander Kane or a Darnell Nurse to come in and try to establish their physicality?
Yeah, probably. I think that's part of their game. I think we're just going to try and play to kind of our identity and what we do. And some guys are physical. Sometimes it's quick pace. And I think, yeah, definitely they have a lot of physical guys. I think both those guys obviously are bigger guys and like to lay their body, and that's part of their game. But I think we kind of expect that. And it's not really a battle of physicality for us. I think it's we're playing to win, whether it's physicality or anything else, special teams or just anything like that. But yeah, obviously those two are really physical players.
Carter, despite being sort of a betting favorite all season long, there were lots of folks in the media before the year started that kind of thought what you guys did last year was a bit of a fluke, getting there from the 8th seed, and were picking you guys in some cases to not even make the playoffs. But to a man, all of you were saying, we expect to be back. How did that sort of mentality going into the season, hearing some of that noise, help propel you guys throughout this long season to now be ready come the postseason?
Yeah, obviously, it's kind of crazy, actually. I think anytime a team can go to the Cup final, it's not really a fluke. You have to beat 3 really good teams to get there. So, obviously, it definitely motivated us, but we really don't really pay too much attention to that. I think I think as a group, we do a really good job of just sticking to what we do best in our game, and we know how good we are, and we're confident in that. And it doesn't really matter what other people think, because there's always going to be talk, who's better or whatever like that. And I think just kind of sticking with what we do and kind of humble confidence kind of thing.
Playoff beards are huge. I got mine going right now. Who's got the saddest
Do
playoff?
you think you're on the team?
I'm part of the group. Don't do this to me,
Okay,
Steve. I'm having a moment.
He's paying money over there.
Besides mine, who's got the saddest playoff beard on the team?
The saddest? That's tough. The Finns don't usually grow too much facial hair, and I'd have to give it to Lundy. He's been growing it for.
He's trying.
He's been growing it for probably half the year. He started early too.
I have not noticed.
Carter, come on, half a year?
I mean, he's 12 years old. I mean, this guy, Lundell.
Yeah, that's tough one.
Carter, who's the funniest guy on your team?
Probably Nick Cousins.
Who's the guy who thinks he's the funniest person on the team?
Who thinks he's the funniest? Probably Chucky, but he's still funny. Chucky's funny too.
He laughs at all his own jokes.
Yeah, he likes his own jokes. That's for sure.
Now Barkey's got like this odd, like soft-spoken kind of delivery when
Dry.
he talks. Like
Dry.
I feel like, does Barkey ever just like start like cussing like a sailor, and it's just funny because of like how soft-spoken he is?
No, he never really cusses but his comments are like all the time. Like when, like sometimes someone will ice the puck, and then he'll turn his stick over like he doesn't have a stick. Like might as well not have a stick. Like just like humble things, like not like just kind of dry sense of humor like that, which is absolutely hilarious coming from him too, because he's so soft spoken.
Carter Bobrovsky, we in the media, we can't get more than 2 words out of this guy. He's so reticent after a game, win or lose.
He's focused.
He could play the best game anyone's ever played in goal, and he would be like not give you a good quote, to put it bluntly. Is he like that with the team? Like, is he super quiet even with you guys, or does he show a side that we don't know?
I think it's tough with Bob. He's such a humble guy, and I think he really cares about people as people, kind of thing. You know what I mean? He's not really he doesn't get his head too big or too small. He just treats everyone kind of equally, whether like you're not playing or you're a star on the team. He doesn't really care. I think that's kind of who he is. He kind of just treats everyone humbly, like everyone's equal, like a person. You know what I mean? Which is something I love about Bob. That might be something to it.
We don't talk enough about you guys off the ice, and Jonah Gadjevich has received a game puck, and he wasn't even playing because he just recently became a father. Why don't you talk about how tight-knit of a group this team is?
Yeah, this team is so tight. I mean, everyone loves each other in the room. There's pranks going on, games going on, and I mean, it's an awesome time playing for our team. And yeah, I mean, like, to do something special, it doesn't take 3 guys or 1 guy or 5 guys. I mean, it takes a whole team. Everyone's here every day. Everyone wants to pull in the rope, whether you get contributions in practice or like there's so many more things to it than just the product that people see on the ice. And I think Gage has been awesome all year. He's been in and out of the lineup, and I mean, for him to, be with the team when he just had obviously birth of his kids. I mean, it's awesome, and we're all so happy for him. And yeah, it just feels more like a family kind of thing.
You said all that, and all I heard was the word prank. What was the best prank this year? What's the best thing that happened inside that dressing room?
Oh, I gotta.
There's so many.
You're editing yourself. I like it.
They seem to always revolve around the same couple people. It's always Cuzzy, Monty, and Chucky. They're always
of course.
Something always happens to one of them. I think the other day, I think Cuzzy, I guess someone took his. When we get to the rink, we get changed into our clothes, like our Panthers gear and stuff. And someone took his clothes and moved his car and put his clothes, drove his car to a different parking lot with his clothes in it.
Oh my God.
It was over at Ed Moore's.
Yeah.
That's great.
Usually, sometimes in between rounds, we're getting bored, so guys are.
Oh, log wait.
Yeah.
Carter, my name is Chris Cote. Can you give me a cool hockey nickname?
Oh, that's a tough one. Codes, maybe?
I like it.
Cotes. Yeah.
Chrissy? No.
Nope.
Codes. He gave you one.
All right, he did. I got it.
Codes, yeah.
Carter, you're from Canada. You're playing Edmonton, and we've been talking about this all week. Like, how does this work in Canada? I must think that Canada is frustrated that Florida owns hockey, okay? Because we do. Between you and Tampa, we own hockey, and it has to frustrate Canadian fans because we're new to hockey. But how does it work in Canada? Do all the different cities get together and root against the Panthers? How does that work?
No, I don't think so. I think there's so many rivalries in Canada as well that I think probably Calgary fans don't want to see Edmonton winning. I don't know exactly how it works, but I couldn't imagine Tampa fans wanting us to win.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know, but Canadians as a country, they feel like hockey is their game, right? And so it must drive them crazy that a team playing in Sunrise, Florida, and another team playing in Tampa, Florida, own hockey. That has to be frustrating to Canada, right?
Yeah, for sure. I could imagine. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yes,
they probably want the cup back in Canada for sure. I mean, I could only imagine they're pretty diehard fans.
When you win it, you can bring it back there. Okay, I mean, how about that?
Talk about Gustav Forsling's play so far. To me, it seems like he could very well be in line for the Conn Smythe Trophy. And Vladimir Tarasenko, I noticed during the last series how great he was defensively, and he finally got a goal in Game 6. Talk about those two playing.
Yeah, obviously, starting with Gustav, he's been unbelievable all year, too. I think he's finally getting some of the credit he deserves. I think a lot of the time, last couple of years, he kind of just flew under the radar. No one really kind of respected him. And, I mean, he's such a good skater, so good defensively, offensively. He does it all for a team. The penalty kill. I think he could play on the power play, but he doesn't even play power play because we need him for all the other aspects of the game. You know what I mean? And he's been such a horse, and he's such a great player. And Vladdy's been awesome too. I mean, that's the thing about our team. We feel like such a team that when one guy's not going one night, someone else will. Everyone's kind of pulling the rope, and Vladdy's been unbelievable. He scores big goals, a huge one in Boston, and I mean, blocking shots. I mean, it feels like everyone's just pulling the rope in the same direction.
Codes here. I just want to let you know that we're gonna have that barn rocking for you guys on Saturday. Yeah! Let's go, man!
Carter, you bring that cup home to its rightful place. Sunrise, Florida. Let's go! Yeah!
All right, Carter, I love you.
Carter, good luck to you, man. We appreciate the time. It's been a fun run, and hopefully it continues with you guys and finishes with you guys hoisting the cup. That would be great.
No
man.
response for me.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, thank you, Carter. We are debuting a new segment today. It's a wordy segment. What did Jeremy Google during the show? We'll get to that in just a second. But, Lucy, I have rarely seen you this fired up. This morning at around 8:30, you were pouring through the new college football playoff schedule, and I've gotten to know you a bit over the last couple of years, but, oh, my God, I have never seen you that excited. Ever.
She's worked here for 8 months.
Oh, whatever.
I actually think it's longer now.
You got to make it a couple of years, right?
It was a good joke.
You have to do it like that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, right.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I've gotten to know her. Listen, Chris, I'm telling you, we both went to Detroit-ish, and I didn't spend 1 second with Lucy.
Not one.
It was dangerous.
Are we giving our Lucy bona fides right
Yeah.
here? I went to Vegas with her.
I've known her for 10 years. Anyway, Lucy, the college football playoff, what's happening?
So we all know the college football playoff is expanding to 12 teams starting this season, and I was out. I was out on this. I still think it's the wrong number of teams, but I saw that schedule. They released that game schedule, and everything changed.
What do we got here?
It's a lot of games.
Playoff first round, Friday night, December 20th.
Love it.
December 21st, we got 3 games.
Wow.
3 playoff games. Guess what? December 21st, that's my brother's birthday. He's going to have to move that. I have plans. Jack, you're going to turn 22 another time. It's just not going to work.
He can keep the birthday. You could just, shoot him a text or something, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
He's not going to want to talk to me. I'm not going to want to talk to him. We got the quarterfinals, December 31st, New Year's Eve. That's exactly how I want to spend it. New Year's Day,
wow,
where college football belongs. We got the Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl. Woo, quarterfinals. Oh, my God, am I excited.
Are you saying we have 3 games on New Year's Day?
3 playoff games
My God.
on New Year's Day.
That's
And
amazing.
you're probably still going to watch whatever the Outback Bowl is called now. I'm so excited for Florida, Iowa, whatever it's going to be.
Finally.
This is a month of college football playoffs. It starts December 20th, ends January 20th.
That's
And guess
amazing.
what?
That's amazing.
I hope to hear from none of you during that time, all right? My phone is permanently do not disturb. I don't care if there's a fire or an emergency. Don't reach out to me. I am busy.
You're not going to be home for a month.
It's gonna be awesome.
The best month of her life.
It's gonna be so awesome, and it's cool because the bowl games, I'm like not going to like Oklahoma as much. No disrespect to Oklahoma, I had a great time there, but I get to go to like bigger cities. I am so excited. I am so pumped. And guess what? There's little breaks in between. You know what's in those little breaks? NFL football.
Oh, wow.
There's so much football. You guys are gonna be sick of me.
What a time.
Also, please move the national championship game to a Saturday. I'm still excited about this, but please move it to a Saturday.
Wait,
Please.
so during God Bless Football, when we played the game Lucy or Goosey, and we asked you about the expansion of the college football playoff, you were never a fan of it. It took you seeing the schedule to be a fan of it?
I'm still not a fan of it. I think we're going to have a lot of blowouts, all right? But guess what?
But we have games.
I'm going to watch every single minute of them.
Games with stakes.
That's exactly how my brother wants to spend his birthday, watching those games.
Right. That's how your brother wants you to spend his birthday,
Exactly.
is what you meant. Yeah.
This is all Jack has ever wanted. This and a PS5.
Me too.
It is exciting. I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams. Alabama will be there every year. There's no way they don't make it now. There will be some blowouts, but it is exciting to have this many teams.
Yeah, it is.
Having the ability to win a national championship and make a college football playoff.
I can't wait for UCF to finish 13th.
Oh,
it's gonna be great.
Oh, I would die.
It's gonna be great.
Don't
We're
even,
gonna argue
oh my
about it
God.
too. We will. We'll find a way.
You don't want to know how my mental health would look if UCF finished 13th. It would be an actual
It's a
nightmare
good season for
me.
you guys, though.
We finished in the top 10 a couple
We
times.
say it's exciting, and then we're going to be like, man, they put Penn State and Wisconsin in there. I don't know how I feel about that. And I say that knowing who my favorite team is, okay?
We all agree Penn State's still not getting in, though, right?
Oh, this was destined for Penn State to be at like the 9 spot. Guess what? Automatic bid. Just give it to them already.
Right. I am excited about it. I do wonder how I'm going to feel when Ohio State plays Michigan, and it won't have that same feeling.
It's going to have that same feeling.
I don't think it will.
It's going to have that same feeling.
I don't think it can.
It's always going to have that same feeling.
But I don't think it can.
Yeah, you're
No.
right.
The stakes are different. No, that game, the winner of that game usually makes the playoffs. Now both teams will make it.
No, so one, Michigan, I don't think is going to be very good this season, so I don't think it'll really matter for Michigan. They're losing every single player, and their head coach. They've lost everybody.
Right.
The only thing I'm worried about with Michigan, Ohio State isn't actually the playoff at all. It's the new Big Ten championship format where you don't have divisions. So it's going to be the 2 top teams, which could be Ohio State and Michigan back-to-back weeks. Those teams hate each other. They will always hate each other. That game is always going to be awesome. And, oh, my God, we didn't even talk about it. First round, home sites. Home sites.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Home sites. We're going to have night games and playoff games in Eugene. I feel like I've died and gone to heaven.
Gonna see the Bounce House host one. KJ Jefferson and them boys. It's gonna be great.
Let's get to your new wordy segment.
Let's find out what Jeremy Googled during the show today. Jeremy, take it away.
This is going to be fun to go sort of chronologically through what we spoke about. So first Google of the day was Coach K Lakers, then Dan Hurley salary.
Maybe just give me the funny one.
Followed up by Robert Goulet.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Robert Goulet songs.
Yes, how did that come
scroll.
up? Who was singing Robert Goulet
Who
songs?
knows? My Auntie Arlene
Of
used
course.
to sing Robert Goulet
Right.
songs in French.
Yes, of course.
Can you really be scared to death?
Ooh, good
Can you
one.
be charged for murdering someone
Absolutely
by
not.
scaring them to death? Death by surprise party.
That was a good
Alabama
segment.
stats, Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that was
Monster
fun.
stats.
That
High
was
school
fun.
stats.
Yeah.
Definition of smirk. We were trying to decipher the difference. Do you have to smile with teeth?
Can I be smirking if my teeth are showing?
No.
No.
Not in the
Smirk?
definition,
No.
it doesn't say necessarily, but I will tell you on Google Images, everyone did not have teeth.
Just quickly, there's no new news on the Lakers head coaching job. It is still being speculated that Dan Hurley will get that job, and people are saying, who is it, Lucy? Bruce Pearl?
Yeah, Bruce Pearl is the name that's like being thrown around to replace Dan Hurley. The news we have is that Dan Hurley has told the players at UConn that he is not like interviewing for this job, but that he's in talks for it.
Right.
Which I don't know if that counts as interviewing or not. We really the words here, the terms, it's too much. It's too much. But he's told the players.
Okay.
You know who's taking an L in all of this? Dan
Who's that?
LeBatard.
Oh, really?
He tweeted like a whole congratulations.
To
You
JJ.
changed
Yeah,
the
he
way
did.
you've done. Like
Yeah.
whole takes a little bit.
I mean,
Wow.
and he's so close to it. He's in LA covering this thing. I mean, it's amazing.
And Chargers minicamp.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Blue Bloods cast.
Oh, nice.
Tom
Was
Selleck
that-
mustache.
Were you skeptical that Donnie Wahlberg was still on it? And
I
you're
was
like,
trying to
let me see
find
if
who else was involved, which is how it led to Tom Selleck mustache.
Donnie Wahlberg, too nice, by the way.
Yeah.
He was great.
I enjoyed him. He was
Yeah.
great, but too
but
nice.
crush somebody.
Yeah, I know. Crush
Anybody.
Luka, Kyrie, anybody.
Crush LeBron. New Kids on the Block songs.
That was a good bit you did where you put like song titles
Yeah,
into
yeah.
your stuff. That was
It
good.
was a question. You know, doing my job.
I think this is going well, this segment.
Elizabeth Holmes' Black Turtleneck. Clipped Cast. Big Fish movie, because I'd never heard of it. Eric Griffin, the comedian. Really bad, by the way.
Yeah, that was a terrible.
Poor Blake
lookalike.
Griffin actor.
No. It's locked in.
Tony took him out. D-Day. Do you wish a happy D-Day? Connor McDavid, time on ice. List of Stanley Cup champions.
I don't think we
and-
listen for future segments. If the segment continues, and I doubt that it
No, it
will,
will.
we should
It
just do
will.
the funny stuff.
Yeah, maybe not all of them.
It will. And Anton Lundell beard. All right. So
Next time we'll skip Dan Hurley's salary.
nah, I think it's important to have the context. I thought it was funny.
2
Fuck
minutes.
you guys.
Last
2
episode.
minutes.